Good afternoon. I want to thank everybody for joining us. Media Center of Ukraine Ukrinform continues its operation. It's day 251 of the full-scale invasion of the Russian aggressor in our land. And now we will be talking about the situation in our sky. Coming up live is the spokesperson of the Ukrainian Armed Forces Air Force, Iuriy Ihnat. Good afternoon, Mr. Iuriy. Good afternoon, Mr. Iuriy. Today, air raid alert was in the whole region. In short, can you tell us about the situation and what are the consequences? Well, obviously, what we're seeing in the Telegram channels, that there are some explosions, some detonations, some strikes, and damage on the infrastructure. Now, it was informed, well, it was even previously informed that the air raid alert doesn't necessarily end up in with the damage or some destructions. The air raid alert is being announced in a majority of cases just to avoid the consequences of the strikes. And even the Tupolev 95, Tupolev 160 strategic aviation aircraft that showed up in the skies, they can inflict strikes while setting on their course, and in these cases the air raid alert is being announced within the whole territory of Ukraine. And if their missiles such as Kinzhal show up in the skies, the air raid alert is being announced too. And also, when we get information about use of the missiles of other types from Black Sea or even Caspian Sea, so this is the signal which you get when there is a launch of a missile from elsewhere. So even if you get the information from any source that the strike is possible, but it didn't happen yet, so you gotta think twice before relaxing. Yesterday, Russians inflicted a massive strike on us. According to your information, we had 55 missiles launched on us and only 4 Shahed. Why exactly so? Doesn't it tell us that they're running out of Shahed drones? Well, you know, it was announced many times that Russia ordered at least 2,000 or 2,500 of these Shaheds from Iran. Well, obviously they were already used in the sufficient amount. According to our information, around 400. 300 of them were destroyed by the anti-aircraft defense forces and our Navy and land forces. By the way, today, this night, 6 Shaheds were destroyed. 3 of them were destroyed by the interceptors of the Air Force in the East Operative Command, and 3 more were destroyed in Poltava region by territorial defense forces. Unfortunately, there were some strikes and damages reported by the local authorities. There are some factors that tell us that some Shaheds were ordered. Maybe they were not still put together in the factories or not yet brought to the launch sites, or maybe they save more to inflict some massive strikes in future. Maybe it's due to weather that they cannot use these Shaheds because it's an aircraft. So in any way that it's a loitering drone, and the same factors influence it as to regular aviation. So the wind can impact its course, or maybe there are some other reasons, some other factors declared by the occupant. As to the Kinzhal missiles, there is information that Russians bring these Kinzhal missiles to Belarus. Can it influence in any way on the situation in our skies? No, it cannot influence in any way. What can influence is the decrease of the number of these type of missiles or their full absence, because their declared range is 1,000 kilometers, and the carrier of this missile is MiG-31 aircraft and also other aircraft of the strategic aviation which can carry this type of munition. Since they come in low numbers, they are mostly launched from MiG-31. It's attached to the body of the aircraft from on the belly, and it can inflict the strike which is difficult to react. So it doesn't matter where the aircraft is it in Russia or in Crimea or in Belarus. Its location in Belarus, it's more of a threat, not like a threat to Ukraine, but more bristling weapons in front of Europe. Mr. Iuriy, there is information with reference to Pentagon that we will have a number of HASAM systems. What else do we expect in terms of international help? Do you mean the NASAMS rocket systems? I was thinking maybe they give us something else. Well, yes, it's a Norwegian rocket system. We're talking about 2 batteries that shortly will be complemented to Air Force. One battery can include from 2 to 9 launch facilities to cover the widest possible range of the front line, because NASAMS one from Germany is missing the company of other Western missile systems to protect our Ukrainian skies. Also, Iuriy, we're expecting more of them, depending on how will German industry make it on their progress. Recently, the head of intelligence, Kirill Budanov, mentioned that in November we're expecting the use of Iranian missiles. Are we ready for this type of weapon? Well, use or even the arrival of these missiles, we will use all the necessary steps, all the necessary measures to protect our skies from them, because the probability is great that they will be delivered to the north of Ukraine, from where they can be launched to threat to the whole of Ukraine. One rocket has a range of 300 kilometers, another has a 700 kilometers range. The ballistic missiles, we don't have effective protection from this type of munitions. We can theoretically shut them down, but practically it's pretty difficult to do it with the means that we have at hand currently, because it's the anti-aircraft weapons and not anti-rocket. What occupant is about to get from Iran are ballistic missiles, the same like Iskander-M that currently are at hand with the occupant. So Iskander is something that they expect to get from Iran, because they are running out of their own reserves. But even notwithstanding the difficulty of shooting these type of munitions down, we had an information that our Air Force managed to shut down one Iskander recently. Does it tell us that we learned to fight them even with the weapons we have at hand? Well, it's not quite exactly. There are different types of Iskander. There is Iskander-M is a ballistic missile, meanwhile Iskander-K is a cruise missile. It flies on the low altitude with another trajectory in close proximity to the land, but yes, we managed to shut them down. Dear colleagues, your questions, please. Alla Shershin, Ukrinform, 2 weeks ago, after the first massive drone attack, there was information from the Minister of Interior, Denis Monastyrsky, that Ukraine is in negotiation with the Western partners regarding the technical assistance for defense against kamikaze loitering drones. And is there information of where we get? If we could get reports on what kind of material is that, we probably would have already gotten it. We're talking about different electronic countermeasures equipment and other types of equipment which can effectively contribute to our capabilities. And when we get them at hand, we will report you immediately. We know that there was information, Mr. Iuriy, that we already have some of our pilots selected for training. Can you say a few words about that? That talks about transfer of aviation to Ukraine are in progress since the beginning of the war. So representatives of all of our Western partners of United States, they are in negotiations about the provision of different air platforms to Ukraine, which would help to protect Ukrainian skies and push the occupant from our land. One of conditions for such provision is selection of a number of pilots who could reinforce the Ukrainian skies, piloting the Western material. It's whether F-16 or F-15 aircraft. So now we've selected best of the best with their best training, who have combat experience, who have a lot of years in reserve until the expiration of their military service. I mean the young pilots. And so we can forecast something for future for these boys who will be able to become experienced aces, and the younger ones who come to the Air Force. So we've selected several dozens of pilots who are ready to go to training shortly. Dear colleagues, any more questions? No questions in the studio. Mr. Iuriy, thank you very much for finding time to join our air. I will remind you, we had Iuriy Ihnat, spokesperson of the Ukrainian Armed Forces Air Force. Thank you. And our next briefing is at 1300. We will have Andrei Nebetov join us, the head of National Police in Kyiv region, and we will talk about the situation in Kyiv regions. Bear with us.